That was a door I might have best let stay shut. Not knowing the truth would have been so much easier. I wouldn't have been made to shudder in disgust, hearing about the crimes of my own family. But if I hadn't opened that door, I would have lost everything. That day, after far too long, I finally let myself see the person in Giselle. Giselle didn't recover for some time after I managed to get her inside. Unsure what else I could do for her, I had her sit before the fireplace and waited in silence as she sobbed. I had no idea what one was supposed to say to someone who was crying. Was it normal to offer them a warm drink? I didn't know. I did know I needed to reflect on the things she had said outside and try to make sense of them. And from there, calm myself down and prepare for the conversation we were to have, as unpleasant as I was sure it would be. A considerable amount of time later, Giselle's sobbing drew to a stop, an oppressive silence stepping in to take its place. For far longer than was comfortable, the only sound we heard was the gentle crackling of the fire. I had to say something. I knew that, but what I didn't know was how to begin. I knew nothing about having an honest face-to-face discussion with someone about the things we were thinking and feeling. But that didn't change anything. I had to do it, even if down that road lay truths I would be happier not seeing. Giselle, could you please tell me what you did what was done to you at my family's home? How you ended up coming to this mansion, and what happened after you left? I would like to know everything from start to finish. Will you believe what I tell you? You never so much as gave me the time of day before. And I very much doubt you will find what I have to say agreeable. Will you still believe me even then? Believe my word, a stranger's word, over your family or the people of the village? I cannot yet say. I must hear what you have to say to make that decision. I suppose that might be better than you saying you'll believe me unconditionally. All right, I'll tell you everything. Just know that nothing I say is a lie. Understood. Giselle methodically recounted her tale for me. She told me of how she accepted an offer from the Boulangers to work as an abigail to earn money for her family, of how my father Antonin had other plans for her, of the things he did to her. She spoke dryly, simply putting words to each event, one after the other. I had already seen how she felt deep down, though. Had heard her pain screams, which were undoubtedly genuine. I didn't think she was trying to deceive me. That was the sound of old wounds being torn open, and even I could see that. Or perhaps my own experiences were what allowed me to see it. Regardless, I had realized too late. I should have seen it sooner. She described it all mechanically to remain detached from what had happened to her, to protect herself. Of that I had no doubts. Still, the things she told me were almost unbearable, and I had a difficult time accepting them. What was I supposed to do? When I learned my father was a rapist, how was I supposed to react to that revelation? What was I supposed to think about the fact that his blood flowed through me? I repulsed myself. Do you want all the details? What do you mean? Of the wounds he gave me, I still have the scars from the things he did. If you don't believe me, I can show them to you. No, that won't be necessary. I see. That's a relief. I don't think I could have handled that right now. I hadn't turned down her offer for her sake. I only did so because I didn't think I could take any more. I averted my eyes to protect myself. Why had I taken my mother's word, brushing aside everything Giselle had said and done? I knew good and well my mother was no longer in her right mind, so why had I thought her letter the truth? Why had I been unable to think rationally? There were, I believe, several factors. My childhood, my past, the witch's whispers, and above all, my own character, consumed with distrust for everything. I had to face it now, to open my eyes once more, to look at everything I had pretended away until now. I was not completely blameless for her suffering after all. Please, continue, if you will. I left off at the point where the mistress discovered what was happening, I believe. I was sent to this mansion to atone for my sins. Sins that she didn't even commit. It was decided I would be sent here rather than being executed, which is what the mistress wanted. At first, I assumed it would be essentially a private prison, but in the carriage on the way here, I was given a letter. A letter? From whom? It didn't say, but your father was the one who ordered me here, so I guess it was him. The letter was very concise, simply explaining that there was someone already there. The Boulanger's youngest child. It didn't go into any more detail than that, but it did ask me to look after you. Do you still have the letter? I don't. The coachman took it back after I was finished. Thinking back on it now, that was rather strange of him to do. It was just a harmless letter. It was anything but. What? It wasn't my father who wrote that letter. He believes me to be dead, so he would have sincerely thought he was banishing you to an empty house in a remote forest. The writer couldn't risk leaving anything behind that might suggest I was still alive. Then who? My brother, I believe. Either Didier or Gayor, but I would guess Didier. Your brother? Why would he... I do not know. I can't imagine why he would write such a letter, or why he would want to tell you about me. I don't believe he had any ill intentions, at least. I mean, he asked me to look after you. That makes it sound like he's concerned about you. Then why does he stay in contact? Why does he never respond to my letters? It's a bit late to suddenly start being concerned. No, never mind that now. Please, tell me the rest. Alright. Giselle resumed her story from the day she fled the mansion, terrified by my behavior. She seemed to be putting a bit more emotion in her tone of voice now, perhaps because she could see I was more interested in this part. There was a deep sadness on her face as she described that night in the rain, listening to the thunder when she gave up on living, and I knew I had caused it. She then told me of the time she spent in the nearby village, how at first life had seemed wonderful, but in time it had come crumbling down. Naturally, she wouldn't be here to tell me this if nothing had happened there. Once she was through with her tale, Giselle let out a long, heavy sigh, as though she had been holding it in for some time. I thought I could hear just a faint trembling in the air she exhaled. That is everything. Do you believe me? If you don't, if you still think I'm deceiving you, then I won't argue with you. That's fine. If that's the case, please just kill me. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? I know I wasn't very open to anything you said, but if that day, when I found you in my room, you had told me I was mistaken, that the sin belonged to my father, it might not have turned out like this. The knife. What? You were holding a knife. I can't handle blades anymore. Ever since what happened, they scare me to death. Just the sight of one in someone's hand, and I start thinking they're going to use it on me. I can't help it. I start shaking uncontrollably, growing faint of breath. The world goes white. I form words. There's nothing I can do. Now I finally see. She was grimacing in pain. The day the package arrived when you knocked my hand away. Because I was scared. Because it reminded me of that time. I had assumed she was simply jumpy from a guilty conscience. I felt nauseous realizing I'd been pouring a constant stream of salt onto her unmendable wounds. What a damn fool I was. Why did you get so upset at me? Why did you have to point a knife at me? I didn't want you snooping. If you meant to sell information about me, I thought I had to do anything in my power to stop you. I'm still not convinced it was necessary. I was unarmed. I couldn't fight back. You didn't need a knife. I have nothing left anymore, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. You're a jerk. What you did was inexcusable. You may not have hurt me physically, but you still hurt me. Humans are frail creatures. They wound easily. Apologize. What? Apologize to me. I said apologize. I'm sorry. Again. Put your heart into it. Convince me you mean it. I'm sorry. Again, once more. Get down on your knees and shout it from your gut. I am so very sorry! Was that a laugh? Jeez, you're such a strange man. Strange. You told me to do it. Nothing's going like I thought it would. I figured even if we talked, you would just deny everything I said. I didn't think you'd actually listen to me. But you did. You listened, and you looked quite distressed by what you heard. I looked distressed. Oh, yes, you sure did. I wish I'd had a mirror to show you. I'm sure you didn't want to believe what I said, but you didn't once accuse me of lying. You faced up to the truth, and you apologized. I seem to have had the wrong impression of you as well. I didn't try to see you for who you were. Instead, let myself believe you were someone to be afraid of. To be honest, I didn't like you very much. The feeling was mutual. But for some reason, I don't feel that way now. Is it guilt? I need to apologize to you, too. Apologize? For what? I led the villagers here. I almost sold my soul to the devil. I tried to sell you out to save myself. And for that, I am truly sorry. I don't understand. What? Do I need to get down on my knees too? No, that's not what I meant. The blame falls on the village for falsely accusing you of stealing. You were a convenient scapegoat for the real thieves. They planned to take advantage of you from the start. That Amede was probably in on it as well, to get back at you for rejecting his proposal. Plus, giving the village a single target to let out their frustrations on would, in a way, help unify them. He used you to meet that end. In order to escape from their trap, you told them about me. But this was after I had threatened you, causing you to flee from this place. You have nothing to apologize for. Still, I still feel really bad about it. So, I'm sorry anyway. You're unexpectedly stubborn. But now that we both apologized to each other, we can call everything square. Square? Square. We were both in the wrong. So, we apologized and we forgave each other. She gave a little smile, but all I could do was stare at her, brow furrowed in perplexity, like I was looking at some bizarre fantasyland creature. The weight of our crimes was not equal. What I had done to her was so very much worse. Furthermore, I am Antonine's son. His blood flows through me. Can you honestly say you don't find me revolting? That you're willing to forgive me for that? I don't think I would be able to. If I were her, my grudge would extend to all of my family, everyone I had ever come in contact with. I can. Although you don't need forgiveness for being his son, being related to someone doesn't make you responsible for their sins. It wouldn't be fair to blame you for that. You're curious. What? Curious? About what? No, not that curious. You're a strange creature. I'm human, you know. Yes, I know you're human. You're making me lightheaded. Is it a medical emergency? That's quite the leap in logic. You know, I was at my lowest just a little bit ago, and now I'm laughing again. It's odd. I never expected I would recover at all. I was just as surprised as her. She had been through hell, and she had more than enough reason to despise me, to shower me with vitriol, but instead she was smiling. And even more unexpected was the fact that I felt relieved to see it. I really, truly wished I'd gotten to know him sooner. Yes, I had fled from the mansion in fear of him, but maybe if I'd had just a little more courage, enough to tell him the truth, maybe he would have listened. I had let my initial impression of him solidify too quickly. I had convinced myself he was insensitive and perpetually expressionless, save for that arctic stare. But the man standing before me did experience sadness, pain, distress, or at the very least, he appeared to from where I was standing. Michel was, just like me, an ordinary person. That said, there was still plenty I didn't know. I was still lacking explanations for much of his behavior. Would you mind telling me about yourself now? I'd like to get to know you better. What are you doing here in this mansion all alone? Why do you call yourself cursed? I told you everything. It's only fair you do the same. I have no interest in using your information for anything. I have no reason to. Or are you going to keep pushing the master and servant line? Do you still think I have no need to know? Be quiet! For the love of God, stop talking already! You always pick the worst time! What? Excuse me? What do you mean, I always pick the worst time? No, I wasn't. Unbelievable! Just when I was starting to think you might actually be a decent human being. Then you go and spout this. No, Giselle, I wasn't talking to you. Who else could it have been? I was talking to, you know, I have a condition that forces me to vocalize objections to my own thoughts. You know, that's about as convincing as my allergic to people excuse. Sorry. Weirdo. What crosses did he bear? What secrets did he keep? Maybe the truth was far beyond my reckoning. And if it was, even if he did, please, tell me everything. No matter what you say, I won't doubt your words. I will trust you, and I'm sure I can accept anything you say. Please, if you don't put it into words, I have nothing to work with. Okay. Where should I start, though? How about the curse, then? Are you actually cursed? That's a difficult question. I cannot, for example, take someone's life with my curse, nor can I bring about disaster. I don't have any magical powers like that. So what you said outside was a bluff, then? It was just a way to chase the villagers away. Well, you certainly put on a convincing performance. So you can't actually curse anyone, huh? Regardless, I am human. Nothing more, nothing less. At least, I consider myself one. Others would disagree, and the reason for that has to do with my body. Your skin, hair, and eye color, right? Right. Michel under the sun, he certainly wasn't what most people would consider normal. Awe-inspiring, in fact. Giving birth to me, it broke my mother. No, I drove her mad. Not only do I appear inhuman, I'm oversensitive to sunlight. While a little light through the window isn't much of a problem, I can't be outside directly under the sun for more than a couple hours. When she realized I couldn't go out into the sun, my mother started thinking I was possessed by a demon. So she banished me to this mansion, until my curse was broken. That was 10 years ago. Just because you looked different from them? The family's reputation was at stake too. If other noble houses realized they were giving refuge to an unholy creature, it would destroy the Boulangers. You saw how the villagers reacted. They called me a demon when they saw me. I suspect the rumors about the mansion played a part in that. If nobody thought the house was cursed, they wouldn't have... I'm sure you were afraid as well. You saw me and thought I was not of this world, that I looked like a demon. I thought you looked like an angel. A what? I at least thought you looked more like an angel than a demon. It never once crossed my mind that you might be evil. But I understand your situation now. Because of your appearance, you've lived all alone in this dark mansion. For 10 years. It was never really an inconvenience. They bring me all the supplies I need. You big liar. Have you never considered running away? That's not an option. Because of the sun? No. I could move during the night if I really wanted to. I'm being watched, to ensure I don't leave. Watched? They can't allow anyone to find out that I'm alive, particularly at the Boulanger estate. If I were to run and they were to find out, I would probably be killed. If only I didn't stand out so much, I might be able to stay out of sight easier. But also, I had been holding on to a little hope, I think. Hope that I might be able to return someday. I have all but given up that hope now, though. Not that I ever had enough willpower to really fight for it. I see. You don't need to worry about pitying me either. It's long since become normal to me. That's not something that should ever become normal. So, what was that really a moment ago? You don't actually have a condition that makes you argue with yourself, do you? Please tell me. You don't have to believe me. In fact, I doubt you will. You're free to think I'm completely mad. Don't worry, I want to know. I can hear the witch's voice. The witch's voice? It started when I first arrived at the mansion. No one else can hear it either. Like I said, it sounds crazy. No, not at all. I said I would trust you, so I believe you. Maybe he's not well. Yeah, that has to be it. 10 years all alone in one place, and you're bound to start hearing things. He seems like a delicate person, too. Thinking about it like that, I'm starting to feel really sorry for him. Do I want to know what you're thinking? I'm here for you. Huh? I've made up my mind. I'm going to stay here with you. Wait, what? Don't worry. I'll shout so loud you won't be able to hear that silly witch's voice anymore. Will you now? If you hear it again, let me know, understood? You don't have to be afraid. I never said I was. Whenever you hear it, I'll be there with you, holding your hand. Well, we kind of took the extremely long route, but there you have it. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Master. Master? Now, where shall we begin? I know, supper. Are you hungry? What should I make? Slow down, please. What is it? If there's something you like, I'm happy to accommodate. You actually intend to stay here again after what happened last time? Because of what happened. Because of that, we're finally able to see past each other's surface. I want us to try again from the beginning. And this time, actually try to be considerate of one another's feelings. That's a promise, Master. Alright. I can stay here, right? I don't mind. I'm glad to hear it. Say. Yes, Master? If you ever want something from me, could I please ask you to put it into words? I don't have much faith in my ability to pick up on things. Got it. Then here's something to start with. What do you say we open some of these windows? Open the windows? Yeah, we don't have to if you think it'll cause you problems, but it would be nice to get a little light in here. I'd like to put an end to this house being a dark, closed-off cave. I wasn't the one who barred the windows. You weren't. They were like that when I arrived. Made it seem like a very appropriate place to lock me away. While I am sensitive to light, yes, as I mentioned, a little sun through the windows shouldn't cause any problems. Alright then, can I ask you to help me open them? Let's both lighten this place up. After a few moments of silence, Michel gave me a curt nod. Well, we couldn't do anything about the windows that had been boarded up. The two of us forced open the ones that were just covered by rusted-over shutters. When we got the first one open, a beautiful stream of light like nothing I'd ever seen before. Flooded into the dark mansion's halls. I had assumed that spring would never come. All we had to do was talk to each other, listen to each other, and everything else would fall into place. But it was that first step that was so hard. So much harder than either of us had expected. And now that the ice was melting, we had to treasure that. It might not have seemed like much to someone else, but to us it was a huge accomplishment. This time, it'll all work out. It has to. I had all the confidence in the world when we were together. But now that I'm alone in the dark, in the absolute silence of the night, I'm starting to get anxious again. Starting to feel like something bad is going to happen. Like I'm going to mess something up again. We took a big step today, and I know I have to keep it together, to keep thinking positive. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand. Thus saith the Lord of Hosts, the woman hath committed 3 sins. She has lied, she has stolen, and she has betrayed her fellow man. It's all right. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of, Giselle. Whatever happens, you have to hold fast to your faith in the goodness of others. You have no reason to tremble. Yes? Come in. That's odd. I don't think I was hearing things. There's no one there. What was that about? Oh? A glass. It's wine, and it's so warm. I guess he heated it on the fire for me. You could have at least said hi. I have a feeling this is going to work out. The light shining in through the windows is swallowed whole by the darkness, as if to say our time together never actually existed. We saw it, though. Together, we watched the light crack open the darkness. I'm begging you, please remember. Please find yourself. Please, Giselle, don't let the things you felt, the warmth that fell over us, remain lost to you. I might have seen it. Seen that most beautiful light. Giselle. But are these truly my memories? Could they not be someone else's tale? Like all the others we have seen so far? She was so bright and energetic, And I am neither of those. Besides, the maid needs not a tale of her own. This is not a story. These are memories. Mine and your memories. No one else's. It was all very much real, as were the kinder, happier days that came next. Kinder, happier days? Those words create a strange warmness within my chest. But at the same time, they make me indescribably anxious. Is there really happiness to be found down that road? Even if our past doesn't lead to happiness, it couldn't be worse than where we are now. Come, Giselle, to the spring that made us more than just strangers. Master? Come on, get up. Up with you. Master. What? See, what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Morning. Wait a sec. Don't you hide under your bedspread? Get out of there. I'm fine, with my room staying dark. What's she even doing in here? But Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. I did, yes. Don't worry, I've put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best parts of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? Kind of. But you wouldn't be you if you weren't. So for now, I won't get on you about it. Also, now that I know your real intentions... No, never mind. I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. What did you think of me? Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality, too. There's not a single good trait on that list. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice, too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other now. Let's not waste any time, then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? I know. We can get this place cleaned up. You want to clean? Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. My vision was still slightly unfocused, having not completely escaped from Morpheus's embrace, but I could see well enough to catch her smiling brightly. That was the first time I had gotten a good look at her in the light. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those glittering eyes. Not even a trace of the tribulation she had endured tainted her pure jade eyes. She's surprisingly good-looking. I am clearly not myself right now. Is something the matter, Master? I know, you're still half asleep, aren't you? I guess I'm just going to have to throw my best bucket of water on you. What is a best bucket of water? I'm awake, I'm awake. Is there something on my face, then? Just far too amusing a sight to wake up to. Amusing? Just get out of bed already. What a noisy morning. I got my first decent look at Michel's face under the light that morning, watching him stifle a yawn as he crawled out of bed. All the little details I hadn't been able to pick up on in the darkness. His expressions, mannerisms, and the way he looked at me. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those vivid, all-consuming red eyes. I was probably, no, almost certainly, making a really dumb face at him. Is it just me, or is he kind of, no, very pretty? How could I have not noticed until now? Jeez, I can't look him in the eyes. Yes, what can I do for you? Is there something on my face? What? No, Ha. Hair monster! Excuse me? No, your hair, it's really long. Yes, that's it. Way too long. Is that any way for a servant to speak to her master? I'm just kidding. I don't have any interest in holding your status against you anymore. I see. It's really hard to tell if he's joking or not. So, about that cleaning. May I wash my face first? What? You're going to help? As I just said, I'm not going to act like I'm superior to you anymore. What are you snickering about? I can't help it. I'm happy. If my hair really does bother you, you can cut it. Huh? I can cut it? Of course, I'll give you the best haircut you've ever had. Oh, but I should warn you, you'll want to stay perfectly still. I'm a monster with a pair of scissors. My sister always said that you were as likely to lose an ear as you were your hair whenever I cut it. You stay away from me! I was shocked at how much more comfortable I felt around her, only one day following our opening up to each other. Maybe this was normal, and I had simply never felt it before. I didn't know. I had thought it would take years of work to get close enough to someone to be able to have a conversation without picking apart every little detail. But here I was, a day later, already there. Was that how it usually worked? Did people normally get close and draw apart so freely? I didn't find it unpleasant to have someone else around. It was a strange feeling. All that friction had dissipated in an instant, and it was like we had known each other for years. Though not entirely willingly, we began sharing meals, something I had always done by myself. Hey, I can see you shoving aside that parsnip. You need to eat everything. Do you have any idea where there's so much rotting parsnip in the cellar? I don't care for it. You can at least pretend to be ashamed. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be so picky. It's not good for you. Hasn't caused any problems thus far. It will soon enough. I can't believe you. We have limited supplies, you won't eat your vegetables? Oh, question, I've got an idea. Go on. Is the list of supplies sent by your family set in stone? Meaning? I was just wondering if it was possible to make requests. If I could, I would just go on a shopping trip. Perish the thought. The only village around here is the one you came from. Right. Say, are you saying that out of concern for... Who would ever be concerned about you? I just want to be able to sleep well at night. And I'm not interested in throwing more servants to the lions. You know, you're a whole lot simpler of a person than I first thought. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Back to your question about the delivery, yes, you can. I haven't made any requests recently, but you can write what you want on a sheet of parchment. Or if we don't have anything, something similar, put it in the box and leave it outside. As long as your request is not completely unreasonable, it should arrive with the next package. Why, is there something you need? Yes, I was hoping to increase our selection of vegetables. And while I'm at it, if possible... Actually, that's a secret. A secret. It's nothing too exciting. I'll tell you when the time is right. my relationship with Michel gradually transitioned from master and servant to something closer to friends. He was still my master, but he allowed me almost complete freedom. And he didn't order me around either. He even gave me a hand with my work. Though he was still not very talkative and oftentimes hard to read, he at least seemed to be making an effort to close the gap. He would on occasion tell me about himself, though not in much detail, and any time his family came up, he grimaced uncomfortably. Apparently his father had wanted him dead. His brothers, though, had worked to create a scenario in which he could live, faking his death and sending him to this remote mansion. I had never encountered Michel's brothers while at the family's estate. But assuming he was right, and it was one of them who had given me that letter, they were likely our only allies at that house. I don't know what he's thinking. It's been 10 years, Michel had muttered. To which I had replied, have faith. It was better to believe in something, even if it felt silly and unreasonable, than to lose faith in everything. My being able to find renewed belief in the kindness of people was what had allowed me to start smiling again after all. Because I was able to have that faith, I was able to enjoy life once more. It wasn't an exciting or thrilling life. It was a humble, simple one with just the two of us. But I wouldn't trade that light for anything. Some people might think it dull or dreary, but it was ours. Master, I really truly appreciate that you want to help with the cooking. I do, honestly, but... This is apocalyptic. This is mutinous. This is an affront to gastronomy. This is unearthly disgusting. Get me better ingredients. What? I am not a bad cook. These are simply bad ingredients. If they were better, they would taste just fine boiled. And it's not as bad as you claim, besides. You make a mockery of the culinary arts! I've been eating this for years. I don't see the problem. I've heard quite enough, Master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. I have to teach him what real food tastes like. Otherwise, he won't be able to appreciate it if I make him something really good. Hold the chair steady for me, will you? I'm going to wipe down the top shelf. I can handle it. I'm tall enough to reach without staying on a chair. It's not as simple as just wearing a rag over it. I've got practice, so let me take care of it, alright? There's a lot more dust than I expected. I probably should have used something to cover my mouth. You're going to want to hold your breath for this, Master. Alright, here goes. She's quite practiced. Is there any need for me to be holding the chair? Chew! Ah! Whoa! Hold the chair! Ow! I'm so sorry, I didn't think there would be that much dust. Thank you for holding the... Master? Your hand is... What? Your hand is, it's on my chest. It was an accident. Right, it was, it's fine, really. It was my fault anyway. It's completely, totally fine. I can't even look her in the eyes. Could this be any more painfully awkward? So, don't worry about it, Master. Honestly, I should be apologizing for subjecting you to that. That's easier said than done. I have to do something about this stifling awkwardness. For one, it was only for a moment. I barely even realized what it was. But that's not the issue. I need some clever way to brush all this aside. Something witty that tells her I'm not bothered by it at all. I'm not concerned. In fact, I see no reason to be concerned at all. It felt like I was squeezing an obese rat. I hardly perceived it as a breast. An obese rat? An obese rat. What? How utterly insensitive can you be? I'm going to rip every last hair off your head. Leave my hair out of this! Say, Master, what did you do all this time by yourself? That's an exceedingly vague question. Say, when you were really, really stupidly bored out of your mind, what did you do to keep yourself occupied? Meditate. Just how many times have you reached enlightenment? I sometimes play chess, too. Chess? Wait, by yourself? Yes. I imagine how an opponent might react to my moves and play the other side that way. That's kinda depressing to think about. How about this, Master? Play a game against me. Do you know the rules? You bet I do. I do come from a family of merchants, so I keep up with trends and know all sorts of games. Oh ho. Prepare to meet your maker. So, who was I supposed to prepare to meet again? Come on, have a little mercy, you trounced me. One more time, I just wasn't at the top of my game. When am I going to meet this maker? What? How? When did you put me in checkmate? One more. Hold on. That's not fair. Take it back. My king. Please stop. Amateur. Can't you just go a little bit easy? You never asked me to go easy. This isn't a game. This is a slaughter. This is a one-sided massacre. How about this maker? I'm looking right at him. That was actually kind of fun. No, it wasn't. It was miserable. Next time we're playing something fair. Such as... Let's see. I know. Arm wrestling. Arm wrestling? Yeah, you sit across from each other, put your elbow on the table, grab hands, so you can pin the other down. Who would ever willingly participate in such a primitive competition? Not interested then? Or are you afraid you might lose? Alright then. I can't imagine losing to a woman. Okay, elbow on the table. Start on my count. Ready? Go! Victory! With each passing day, it grew less and less unusual having Giselle always at my side. I began more freely engaging in silliness, speaking my mind, and showing emotion. I could say her name and Giselle would turn around and smile at me, an unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal. But that was very rapidly changing at her hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had to describe it, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Time continued to press on, our relationship remaining relatively stable. Eventually, summer came, bringing with it the longest periods of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long the world grew cold and dreary. That winter, the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, "I've never had wine this good before." And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew dark. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Or because there's ale. Drunkenness makes even bad singing and storytelling pleasant to the ears. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say. Yes. Do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Please don't tell me you're bringing the obese rat incident back up. No, not that. Before that. Before we could actually talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination. You might have. I can't say I remember. Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal saying I was wasting my time. But look, it actually happened. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would ever actually come a time we would sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book. You never know how things might pan out. I actually do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away. How much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile toward her. People change. And perhaps, if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance the future might turn out for the better. Is something the matter? I don't care much for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares. Even if it didn't happen until after my father was gone, it wouldn't erase what he had done to her there. She acts like nothing's wrong, though. I don't know. Have her wounds healed? Or do they still remain? Should that time come? Should that time come, if that day comes, I will do what I can to ensure you have a comfortable life in the city. Though I will not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out. I see. Thank you very much. But if you would be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me. I mean, as a servant. As a servant? Yes, a servant. We're, short on hands. I see. A servant. Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. Alright, sure. I think I will. I would like to accompany you, Master. How exciting. I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us. I pray so. Now, back to the story. I believe we just got to the point where the knight set out to defeat the monster and save the princess. I bet he was a big, buff, muscular knight. Let's not talk about how muscular he was. She let out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was it her scent, or perhaps just my imagination? I had no way of knowing. We sat so close, even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosities flooded my mind. What might she be thinking right now? What did she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I had just briefly lost my way. Though I tried to convince myself otherwise, it was all in vain. When had my pulse gone so rapid? When had my skin gone so flushed? When? How? Why was this happening to me? I thought I had already learned my lesson about having feelings for someone else. Before long, winter retreated, and our second spring came to take its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together, and I don't think it was my imagination that this year felt much warmer than last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in previous years. One night, when the breeze carried on at a pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out into the garden. Come on, Master, hurry up. It's the middle of the night. What's so important? I just found it myself, and I couldn't wait until morning. A rose. It blossomed. A rose. Giselle had over the past year cleaned up the nest of weeds that had been strangling the garden. Off to the side of a small plot of turned soil, swaying in the wind beneath the moonlight, was a single red rose. When did you? Last year I requested flower seeds. But I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. I didn't tell you. Why would you keep it from me? I wanted to make it a gift for you, Master. What? Why? Roses make wonderful gifts, supposedly. No, that's not what I meant. Why me? I haven't given you anything. Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close under another year from now. If we are, then this is yours. I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow it at all, but the sight of the deep red rose almost melting into the dark night was perhaps the most wondrous thing I had ever seen in my life. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were always just plants to me. But that one on that night was undeniably beautiful, majestic, and like a young child seeing a flower for the very first time, my hand automatically reached out for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't gently caress its petals, or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. You picked it? Are you going to bring it back to your room? When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably should have left it to grow in the garden. From the base of its stem where I had picked it, a droplet succumbed to gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I had ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childish possessiveness. This stunning flower was mine. Moonlight trickled down from the heavens, giving a gentle bluish tint to my hands, and the smile on her face. You're going to need a vase, then. Give me just a minute. For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Huh? Master? What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face, just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I had just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might provide a good backdrop for the rose, but it was supposed to remain a simple fancy. What was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. A drawing. A drawing? Right. I would like to preserve it on canvas. What? What? I mean, that a rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I would like to include you as an accessory. Wait, you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. You're slightly more interesting than a vase, that's all. I've never seen you draw anything before. I just never got the urge. You know how? Many years ago, my brother taught me. I don't think I could handle being a model. I've never had a drawing done of me before. You'd probably be better off with just the rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I am free to do with it as I please. I did. I didn't mean to sound so rude. I had no real interest in drawing the rose, but I couldn't just take it back either. Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several sticks of charcoal. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what a court artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was still just as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? What should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No, just get comfortable. Look away. Why? It's hard to work when you're watching me. What? I feel like I have to sneeze. Hold it in, please. What now? Can I see it? I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as her eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose, but Giselle. At first I had regretted my in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think it hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never have been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp-tongued, unapproachable recluse? What was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other. That she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. What in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought would put a smile on Michel's face. But rather than improve his mood, it made him go all strange. It had made him say he wanted to draw something. I had never seen Michel draw anything before. I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks at him every once in a while, but any time our eyes met, he gave me a stern, look that way stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the Archangel in the stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me? No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michel's attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to an obese rat and calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Huh? Oh, yes. If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete. Oh, no trouble. You had a very stern look on your face is all. I was doing that bad a job at hiding it? I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask you. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn of them. What? What's he getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I had never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, Master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would... But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting. I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank, and I couldn't form a coherent thought. I mean, like, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I meant love like love for a brother. Hey, say something, Master. Give me your usual exasperated sigh. Come on now. Go on, give me your best good grief and then hurl me out the window. Come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master? When the wood panel he was using as a canvas and the charcoal in his hand crashed to the Harchapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why he had knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him, and when I did, the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of Jade and Ruby intertwined. There was a visible rosiness in his ethereal pale cheeks. Master? Flickers of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over to me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I had expected, but it felt pleasant on my flushed skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart, too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes and... Then I shoved him away with all my strength. Michel rolled back, knocked his head on the side of a pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Sorry, you startled me. I really, truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. He turned away, marching off into the corridor and shrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened, and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him. Find him and tell him the truth.